Hey, welcome everybody. We are 4 folks from the OpenSSF DevRel Community, which is kind of a new initiative that's sort of based around trying to get folks who aren't in this room to understand what OpenSSF is, what the benefits are, how to engage with us, and all that kind of stuff. So we don't have a lot of time, so I figured that we would kind of kick into some questions to kind of start things out, if that works.
Yeah, let's do it.
The first question is, why do we have this?
So I think I can go first. So hi, I'm Katherine Druckman. I work for Intel. I am currently, along with Tracy Reagan, who is no longer in the room, co-chair of the Marketing Advisory Council, and we are the sort of umbrella group that has developer relations community under it. So I'll try to shorten this story as much as possible. So I'm just going to say, a year ago, when we were here together we weren't here. We were in Vancouver together in a very similar room. I started talking to a lot of people in the community. I talked to developers, I talked to maintainers, I talked to everybody I could about what was going on with OpenSSF, as in my new role as co-chair of marketing. And what I found was, in spite of the massive amount of really impressive work in various working groups across this fantastic organization, that I'm just going to call it like I see it. I thought OpenSSF was the best kept secret in open source. And I thought there must be a way for us to jump in and help fix that. So, Lori, I think you have some thoughts, because you were around in the beginning too.
I have lots of thoughts, so I'll narrow them down. So one of the things I think when OpenSSF started was there was a big push to talk about how we were getting involved with Washington, because of the what is it called, that came down? Executive order, right? So it was all about, like, how are we going to work with, the people in DC to figure out what we're doing with this executive order. And what I felt was missing was the communication of the projects that are working to address those issues already. So when Katherine says we're the best kept secret, like, so are the projects, and that's disappointing. And, like, what are we doing as people that belong to OpenSSF to help propel those projects out there to the main community so they know what's going on? Also, to kind of give our people that are going to DC more ammunition to say, okay, like, here are the things that we are currently addressing. You're writing these things maybe a little incorrectly, but look at how the community is coming together to address supply chain issues on a side where we're building the tools to combat it.
I'm Tabatha. Coming at it from an end user perspective and looking for some of these tools and solutions, discovering the OpenSSF, I was like, wow, this is incredible. I don't even know where to start looking to, who do I even talk to about this? And I ended up escalating my question all the way to the tech because I couldn't figure it out. And once I realized that, I started hanging out in the OpenSSF Slack a bit more, getting a bit more understanding, but that's an incredible time investment for somebody, for a maintainer that's just looking for a quick solution, for a small business that's trying to really do their best with open source. If you're even trying to figure out where to start with SBOMs, it was overwhelming. So I figured there was an opportunity here for me to use my skills and my time at the organization to help evangelize OpenSSF and the various projects there.
Yeah, and for my part, taking on to everything that was just said, I'm a maintainer of one of the critical projects. It's called Drupal. At one point, it was running 2.5% of the internet or something. And I only found about OpenSSF because I applied for a job with Anne Bertuccio, and I'm like a very proactive person, so I was like reading up on it, and it took me like a long weekend to even understand what was going on because the website was so geared towards the members in it and the working groups that are having the work, but not about how the various initiatives help me as a maintainer. And so I created this issue, which is like a novel, I'm sorry for that, called The Maintainer Experience. Yeah, because it's one of those things where if you are a maintainer and you have like 38 milliseconds to think about something that's not your project, we just want to like get in there and give maintainers, I suggested a North Star metric of time to value for maintainers is as minuscule as possible, because they already don't have time to do all the other things that they do. They certainly don't have time to learn about OpenSSF governance, and you have such amazing tooling and projects and all this stuff that can really actually help people on the ground making these projects. So anyway, so I got a fire lit up in me to kind of like start, telling my friends and my friends of friends. So when this initiative popped up, I was super keen to get involved. So, okay. So what are the ways that the DevRel community contributes to the OpenSSF?
So I think I'll kick this off. So you might have seen me at other conferences, just like Jay, I'm involved in a lot of different foundations. And so one of the things we realize is we should share, like, let's not reinvent the wheel. So the CNCF created these templates for their projects. Like, I don't know if you know, the CNCF has 184 projects. Maybe you've heard of 10 of them. So that is an issue, and it's something that I think is like very near and dear to my heart, is trying to get more projects, project love. So we are going through all of our projects and we're creating these one-pagers. And what's really fascinating is, like, I have a marketing background, and so I was sitting with the OpenVex people and, like, just simple questions like, so, you know, what is your mission? What is your vision? Do you even have a logo? Like, how are you defining this? What are the, like, if you had a 60-second pitch, what are you going to put in that pitch? And they're worried about the problem and creating the solutions. They're not thinking about, how am I going to get more adopters and more contributors and more of that? How am I going to get more awareness? So that's one of the, I think, the big ways that we're going to help really make an impact. We don't have one finished yet.
Oh, it's so close.
It's so close. But, like, these are things that, again, consensus, community needs to see it to make sure it's what they want. TAC needs to see it to make sure it's saying the same things. And then we'll just create a template. Like I said, I borrowed it from the CNCF, but it's something that I think all projects should sort of adopt when they come to events and conferences, or just put a nice one-pager infographic on their website, something like that. So that's one way.
I think there's another opportunity here to sort of be the glue between the community, the end users, the contributors, the maintainers, and what OpenSSF is doing here. And that's all done through communication and having these important conversations, not just in rooms like this where we all already know about OpenSSF, but bringing that back to our own communities and bringing that back to our organizations where our voices might be heard a little bit louder because of our experiences here with OpenSSF, and then we can help bring attention to the projects here as well.
Yeah, I also wanted to add, one of the things we're really hoping to grow this year is supporting everyone else to become evangelists of OpenSSF and the work that we're doing here. So one of our work streams, if you want to call it that, is to support members of the community in submitting CFPs, in creating presentations, going out there into other communities, other open source communities, other open source conferences, other security conferences. Include OpenSSF projects in your talks when you're out there giving a talk about consuming open source, or development best practices, continuous delivery, all of those things. We want to be your cheerleaders to help you, hone your presentation skills and get that message across in the best way.
Yeah. Go to where the security problems are happening and talk to those people about how to do things better. But give them really practical, actionable advice, with like demos of these tools and how to use them and how to get started quickly. That's kind of like our thing. So what would you say are some ways that you can, so folks who don't know what DevRel is, maybe one of us wants to define what the heck that is, and then how can you do that activity in your own communities?
I guess I'll try this one. So DevRel is developer relations, and it has a lot of different definitions. You might have heard of it discussed or called developer advocacy. But essentially, it's acting as the advocate both for the developer, between the organization, between the projects and the community that you're working in. It's sort of a overlap of those three things, and encouraging them to work together in really productive ways, and supporting all of the needs of each of those groups. So when we talk about DevRel, everybody has sort of a different way that they're doing things in every organization and even personally. So some of the ways that I might DevRel or get, to do this, it starts with listening, obviously, is, listening for where the security problems that Angie was talking about are happening with other individuals, and playing matchmaker to projects that we have in OpenSSF that could solve those problems. That's just a dead easy way to start.
I'm going to take it up a level. So I just started at Percona, yay. And like I said, I do a lot of stuff with foundations, and I'm getting a lot of emails now from different foundations that we participate in. So my first question to my management team is, who manages our foundations? Like, who's the person responsible for, they're like, well, okay, so there's the event side that like create our booths, and then there's, this person that sits on boards, but who's the person that connects us, like Omkar was saying, with the training, with the resources, with the information about this, you know, who is that person, and then piggybacking with that person and sharing like what we're doing. So I think that's like a place where everybody can start, is just kind of ask like, A, are we a member of this organization? If we are, great. If not, okay, maybe we should get involved. And then B, you know, showing your company like, we're a member of this organization. Look at all the benefits we're missing. Like, you want us to scale up on security? Well, why aren't we taking the security training course? And then maybe we can sit on the SBOMIT, you know, committee to see what they're building, and maybe we can do that. So that's also a form of developer relations. It's just finding the person with the purse strings that is paying for stuff, and then asking them like to disseminate the information that they might just see and not open. How many emails do you get about training that you just close, right? You're like, I don't care, I don't need this, I don't have time. Well, maybe your developers have time. Maybe there's something that you can do to talk with their engineering managers to get the trainings that you as a member are paying for and not using as part of their onboarding process, as part of their level up process, right? You want to get to distinguished? Well, you don't have any of these certifications. Go through the Linux Foundation because we're a member. Let's do this. Go through OpenSSF certifications. By the way, this project seemed really interesting. Can you sit on that so we can hear what's going on? Because companies innovate by being in these meetings, by being on the cutting edge.
Yeah, I would just add that it's a good reminder that developer relations is very much a two-way communication situation. It's not just about us going out into various communities and spreading the good word, right? It's also about, as Tabatha mentioned, it's listening, but it's also helping. It's empowering people to use these tools and helping walk them through it. And in the process, document it. In the process, find what the pain points are. In the process, collect feedback and help connect that feedback to the people working on the tools that we're talking about. And all of those things are critical to the success of the projects and building awareness of the projects and gaining adoption.
Very good. And for anyone out in the audience who maybe doesn't know this, or folks who are listening to the recording who aren't from, you know, like in the know necessarily, what are some ways to get involved in OpenSSF more broadly through this initiative or in other ways?
Well, I do want to mention one thing that I don't think we've said yet, and that is the developer relations community is open, completely open. I mean, here we are at an open source event, and we're all open source people here, right? Open source people are the best people.
They really are.
But in creation of this still relatively new group, we collected a lot of feedback from the people in governance within the organization, the volunteers, and the one message that everybody agreed upon was this group needed to be open to any community member for any type of participation. And so, you know, what we'd really love to encourage is people to step up. Talk to your friends. If you have friends in open source communities working on any projects and are interested in security, we want to talk to them. I want to talk to them.
Yeah, and I think that's important, that you don't have to be an OpenSSF member to take part in the DevRel community. It's purposely open, wide open to the public, so that we can, you know, allow maintainers to come in, give us their feedback, find bugs in the software that they're trying to use of ours, like this kind of a thing, without having to grapple with necessarily the inner workings of how the sausage is made. Yeah.
Something I wanted to add to all of that is it's just start small, start where you're at. It can be as simple as letting us know what would make it easier for you to take this information about the OpenSSF back to your organizations. If there's an opportunity for us to create materials that you could use, or that would benefit not just you, but everybody, because that's how this sort of thing works, right? So just joining those calls that we have and participating in that way and giving feedback on what would be helpful for you personally would be a great place to start.
And I'm going to piggyback off of that. So you can start right now, right? Like the hallway track. There's so many people here that are actively like Jay, like Krob, like Omkar, like us on stage, Tracy Reagan who's here. There's so many people here that are involved in OpenSSF. So use the hallway track to your benefit and just ask people, say, hey, I'm working on this, or what are you currently working on? Or like, is there a Slack channel? Like, oh, another Slack channel, but whatever. Like, is there a Slack channel I can join? Like, what are you doing? Like, that's the value of in-person conferences, right? That we all missed for however many years, is taking advantage of the lunchroom settings, the networking during the breaks, and just using the hallway track to your benefit. Like, we're here all week, so that's awesome. Like, you're going to meet more people, and not just OpenSSF people, like the Rust Foundation, Rebecca's here, but they're also involved in OpenSSF. Like the intermingling of so many things, the cross collaborations of so many foundations are like all in this room with you. Like some of us, like Jay, by virtue of just being that person that has to sit on meetings and all different things, like he's a wealth of information. But if he doesn't know something, I guarantee he can point you in the direction of somebody else that can. So take advantage of being here and just talking to people. I think that's huge.
All right.
And I think that's it,
and I'll
right?
leave you with a lovely QR code, since that's the theme of the day. This is a little one-pager that has all the different ways to get involved in this initiative. We're also going to be at a happy hour tonight. You can talk to us there or here or whatever works for you. But yeah, we would love to talk more. We would love to help you get the word out about your projects, as well as get the word out into these communities. Again, we're the developers who are making the core functional software that we need to run everything in the world. Let's go out in there. Let's talk to them. Let's get them aware of the OpenSSF and engaging with us. So,
Can I just add quickly? There almost every week there's an opportunity to hang out with us. There's a meeting. there are office hours or a developer.
We're so
relations
much
community
fun.
Meeting.
we are,
Yeah,
honestly.
come hang out. We really are. I swear we're really friendly. We promise.
And we're a female panel at a security, like that's pretty dope, right? That's pretty dope. Like, so there is inclusion across the board. So don't feel like we're not going to welcome you in. Like it's super big arms, big hugs.
Including everyone is how we win.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well said. All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
y'all.
We really appreciate the chance to talk.